All right, we're back. Club Moto. Fuck, it's been a year. Back in the shitty garage, the usual. I'll film an actual update video of what's been going on, but I've been working at a professional Harley Davidson. I'm working at a Harley Davidson. I've been working at a professional Harley Davidson shop for a year now. So this is going to be Club Moto 2.0. We're stepping it up. Big shit. Big shit. All right, today I'll do an update video on all that shit. Maybe I'll do like what to expect for your first year in a shop. We'll do something like that. But today, my bike needs a fuck ton of work. I walked out in the garage in the winter and I looked at it with the flashlight and I was like, oof. So we're going to do a video, kind of an inspection video. So like if you're going to buy a used bike and you're looking on fucking Facebook Marketplace, because I know where all that lit shit is. It used to be Craigslist, but so you're on Facebook Marketplace and you're like, oh, these pictures are sweet. Because of course they're going to put the best pictures on there. So you're swiping through. The price is like almost too good to be true, but not quite right. This is what you need to do when you get there, all right? You got the bike. Obviously, it's not going to be on a lift, but you can do all of this stuff on the ground. It just sucks more. Okay. So, sorry about the lighting in here. It's kind of crap, but I got my flashlight, and we'll be pointing stuff out. Ness filming again. We got a gimbal. We got new mics. Shit's going to be good. Let's get started. Okay. I got my toolbox in here now because I got a new toolbox at work. So this was my work toolbox. There's nothing wrong with the work toolbox, to be honest with you. I just fucking professional tools, you know what I mean? So slowly moving my garage type tools, back home. But and I don't know where I don't know where anything in this fucking toolbox is because it's arranged completely differently than my one at work. We're gonna need this. You don't really need it, but it's easier. Let's start in the front. So obviously, you're going to want to make sure the bike turns on. I already know it doesn't because the fucking battery's dead. That's why I got a battery sitting up there. So I'm going to install that. I'm not going to do it on the video. It's going to take too long. We got places to be. So you're going to turn the bike on. You're going to check all of the electrical, your buttons, your switches and all that shit, turn signals, horn. When you hit the run button, if it's fuel injected, when you hit the run button, you should hear that little for like 2 seconds. If you don't hear that, the fuel pump's not on, probably not going to start. So there you go. You should always test ride the bike if it's safe to do so. If they don't want you to test ride the bike, that's weird. They should at least have it running or whatever. If it runs, there should be no reason that you can't test ride it. So check your electrical switches. So also, you're going to want to check your switch housing and your clutch and brake perch because these things are always fucking loose. So you're just going to up and down on it real tight, up and down on the switch housing. I can't tell you how many times that shit is loose. I can't tell you how many times that shit is stripped out. Switch housing, T25. Clutch perch, brake perch, T27, people. Come on. All right. Then you're going to have to go ahead and check your mirrors. It's not a big deal, but you go ahead and check them anyway. It's a 1/2 inch acorn nut. You're going to need a deep socket for that. Check your throttle idle cables, okay? If you come down under here, I'll show you exactly what you need to do. Notice all this oil on this cracked up, shitty looking oil filter. I need to replace that. Note that. This is what oil looks like. See? Like when you see an oil leak, seep, weep, whatever they say. See? This is breather bolts. The breather bolts got oil leaking out of here. That's a common place. The oil filter shittered because I dropped it. Oops. But anyway, throttle and idle cable. You're going to pull this lever. See this stop right here? Should pretty much hit that top portion. So that's like max throttle.
I was just throwing where to pull it. Now do it.
Okay. So this guy right here, that little stop, when you hit the throttle, that's your stopping point. Okay? When you let go, it should snap back. You want to perform that test. You don't have to look at it every time. You should be able to see it hits it, it snaps back. You want a little bit of play in the forward, not too much. I should probably adjust it, to be honest with you, because there's not enough play there. But you want it to come, it needs to come forward a little bit. But basically, you're going to have it on the ground anyway. So you need to do this at all positions of the steering. So you want to take it, put it on the kickstand, take it full left, snap it, and it should snap back quickly to idle. If it's like slowly rolling, then you need to adjust that, because if you're in a turn or something like that, you let go of the throttle and it doesn't fully snap back and cut that shit fast, you're gonna have an issue. So you do it full left, full right, and center. And if all that checks out, it snaps back like that, your adjustment's good. Tire tread depth gauge. So you're gonna come down to the tire, you're doing the front end. Obviously, there's no fucking tread on this front tire, like nothing. But what you would do is put it down where you have tread. I'm just gonna do it for an example. Push it down and it'll give you a reading. So there's numbers on here. They're measured in 30 seconds. If you take your bike to a shop and they say like your tire's at 3+, they're talking about 30 seconds or something like that. So basically, this shit is fucked. You need new tires. So you mark that down. When you're doing this inspection on somebody's bike that you're thinking about buying, you take a pen and paper and you write down notes. And you don't have to fucking say anything to the guy. Just walk around, look at the stuff that I'm talking about, write down your notes, go back to your car at the end of it, and I'll fucking like kind of ring up a bill or whatever. Then you come back to the dude and you're like, it needs this, 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 and this. That's going to be about this much. Knock that off the price. There we go. So it needs a tire. It needs an oil filter. I got to do the breather bolt leaks because you can see that the oil's built up there. It looks dirty, nasty. It's clear. Front end wobble. I'm fiddling with my flashlight. When I do the tire, I'm going to do the wheel bearings because I know I have a gnarly front end wobble. You know, there was a time when I was doing this, standing up on my fucking motorcycle seat, and then there's a time where it's doing this, and I'm like taking my hands off it, and it's just going fucking crazy. So something's obviously wrong there. So what I'm going to do is start a little diagnosis or whatever in later videos, but I'll just explain it. When you're diagnosing something like that, I'm starting at the tire. The tire has no tread on it. It's past the point of no return, you know, so there's going to be divots and shit in there. That'll cause a wobble. Then if I throw the tire on there, that don't fix it. Obviously, when I do the tire, I'm going to do wheel bearings. This is my own bike. That's what I'm going to do. The dude before me probably didn't do it, so I'm going to cover the whole shit. Wheel bearings, if that don't solve it, you move up from there. My forks, my axle, this only has 15,000 miles on it. None of that's going to be bent or broken or anything like that. I don't have blown fork seals. You can tell they're blown because you'll get oil just leaking down all over your front fork. And also, the best place to look for a blown fork seal is at your brake caliper. So if you come over to this side, your brake caliper, because it'll run down from up here and just run all over your brake caliper. So you're going to want to check that, you know, check the movement of them or whatever. They move good, so no big deal. So axle forks, I'm not worried about. I'll move up from there. When I get the tire off, this is what you do to check your neck bearings. You get it on the lift, you jack it up, the front end. Put the rear end in gear, that shit's going to slip out on you. Put the rear end in gear, jack it up. You get the tire off. You're doing wheel bearings or whatever. Throw that axle back in. Grab the axle from the front. You're strapped down and give it a little tug. If you hear a notchiness or if you feel it go like da-dunk, da-dunk, neck bearings, then you're going to want to take, you can do it with the axle. You can do it with the tire either way. Jack up the front. Rotate that shit left. Rotate it right. And you're feeling the neck bearings. You're trying to feel if, because they're a needle bearing, they're tapered. If they wear out, they'll wear into the cage, and then the tapered, the actual needle bearing will sit in there, and they'll get a notch, and so it doesn't roll smooth. So you're feeling for notchiness. Like if you're hitting it, it's smooth, and all of a sudden it goes like a little bit, and it like kind of like sticks, and then you're rolling it smooth, and it sticks again. That's notchiness. You need neck bearings. So I'm going to check the neck bearings as well when I do this. This is stuff I already know on it, but I'm going to check the neck bearings that way. If all that checks out, which you're supposed to do neck bearings around 20 to 25,000. This one's at 15. I don't know exactly the spec for like my year bike, but it's around there, like 20 or so. So if it's not the neck bearings, it's probably an adjustment. You probably need a steering head adjustment, which on these guys is pretty easy. You've got your bolts here. You basically just tighten up your triple trees, and so that there's like 3 different measurements for that. You take a fish scale through the axle, and there's actually a pound force number that you get. That's one of the specs, and the other ones are swing back and whatever the fuck the other one's called. I can't remember. But they're, you know, some of the other ones can be kind of a bitch if you got like a bagger and there's a bunch of shit there, but it's doable. So that's my front end diagnosis for that. That'll be the process I go through to get rid of that, to get rid of that wobble that you saw earlier in the video. So I just note that because I'm going to be doing it later. I'll probably do a video on this. All the maintenance that I'm going to do that I find in this video, I'm going to go ahead and do, or try to do most of it on the channel, like in videos. I'll take the tires off, or I'll take the wheels off the bike here, and I'll take the tire, or the rim and the tire to work and swap the tires there. But you'll get the gist of it. So if we move over to this side, oily, dirty hands. Move over here, we're going to hit the brake pad real fast. So you can get these. They're brake pad measurers or whatever. This one I got on Amazon for like 20 bucks. They're pretty cheap. They bend, but they're measured in millimeters. Yeah. The only fucking metric shit, I swear to God, the only fucking metric shit on these goddamn bikes. Don't be throwing your 8mm fucking Allens in any of this shit. Brakes, suspension. Because Brembo, whatever the fuck, I don't even know what they do for the front suspension, but it's foreign. So that is your only metric shit. Your caliper mounting bolts are 12.10 mils. So there you go. If you don't have a 12.10 mil, you're not going to get that off. Go ahead and feel the brake rotor all the way around. You're feeling for notchiness or grooves or anything like that. Mine's pretty fucking smooth, so that's good. This is like the one fucking thing I don't got to do on my bike. What do I got? 3 millimeters. Slide it up against the rotor. Once you hit that pad surface, you should be able to wiggle it a little bit back and forth between the actual pad and whatever the fuck that metal portion it's sticking to. But basically, you'll be able to move it. So I got 3+ millimeters of pad life, and you want to do the other side, obviously. They're kind of a bitch to see, but you should have, there's little grooves. I don't know what year it started happening, but they make grooves in the actual brake pad material. If you can no longer, it's kind of like similar to a car thing. If you can no longer see the groove, they want you to replace the pads. Like 2 millimeters is about half of your pad life. So when you start getting under 2, you got to check your pads. If you don't check them, you're going to wear through the whole pad. Your pistons are going to start hitting the brake rotor. It's going to be nasty. So, and it's going to be costly. So you got to check your pads. So we'll move on. Also, you want to check like your banjo nut, where your brake line is. Check your brake line for any leaks. So you come up here, you know, mine's pretty simple because it just follows up to the master cylinder. Got to check your master cylinder because a lot of guys, this gasket will go out. And then the .4/.5, mine's got .5, the newer one's got .4, start leaking out. .4 and 5 are horrible for paint, anything like that. It'll start leaking out onto the master cylinder. Then you got that nice chrome master cylinder, you got that nice black one. It just gets all pitted, nasty looking. So if that's happened to your bike, you're like, what the fuck? It's because your gasket is blown and you need to replace your gasket so that seals the fluid. So you're looking for .4, any moisture around the banjo fittings, anything like that, I'm good here. We're going to look at the clutch adjustment. So when you do a service now, you do like, I think I did an oil change video, one of the last ones I did. Next time I do an oil change video, I'll probably do it this season before the season starts, like as part of this maintenance. I'm going to do a full clutch adjustment, which includes down at the hub. But for now, you can't like open up some dude's bike when you're trying to buy it. So you just want to make sure you pull the clutch in. Then as you pull the clutch, or as you release the clutch, you want to give a pull on the cable. Boom. And you should have, I think it's at least 1/8 of an inch or a 1/16 or something like that. But basically, the amount that you want is about that much. I don't know if you can see that little play right here. Right here. So that's about how much play you want. If you got no play, then your clutch is like engaging, you know, and you're actually going to wear that out. Because it's very important to get your clutch engagement and disengagement correct. Otherwise, it's not going to function right. You want to hit that. Your clutch, you want to let out the clutch, and right as your fingertips are letting go, you want to feel the clutch engaging. And before your fingertips are fully let go, you should feel it fully engaged, and the rest should be play. So you don't want to just like, right when you let the clutch out, it starts pulling you. And you don't want to like, if it's too far out, then it's never fully going to disengage. So things to look out for. We're going to head down to the engine. All right, so we're going to look for leaks. What do we see here? Oil, rocker boxes. Oh, shit. Well, you can see the finger smudges and all that crap.
Not with the light. If you move it, you could see it better.
Okay. All this oil right here. And if you get in, I'm going to try not to be super bright, but you can really see it on the bolt. right there. It's like impossible. My rocker box front is covered in oil, so that's gonna need front or top and bottom. When you do the rocker boxes, you do both with the twin cams because there's two. Then you're gonna want to check down here. You're gonna check your head gasket. Head gasket looks good. I see no oil. Base gasket looks good. I see no oil. Come back. Going up. No oil. No oil. Aha. On the fin right here. I don't know if we can see that. There's a little bit of yellow oil right there. Where's that coming from? We go up. We come back here. Boom. There's a big dark spot right there. This is rear rocker box leak. So I got front and rear rocker box leak to do. And we're going to move on. It's probably easiest to do this on horn side. You could do it on the other side. I smack and shit. It's my own bike. I never work on these bikes at work with all the dirty biker shit on, as one of the club guys would say. But we're going places, and it's my bike, so f it. You're going to want to come up in here. You got your intake module. You want to check where it mounts because you'll get leaks there. You can see oil will leak. Also, you can, like oil will build there, so you'll have to replace the seals. The twin cams are pretty good because this is like a hard cast metal. The M8s, are made of like some weird plastic, and so that plastic is going to get hot and it's going to warp. And so I've seen intake leaks more on some of the newer M8s because of that. But you really just got to pull your AC, pull the induction module out, replace the seals. It's not too bad. You got to boost the tank kind of stuff. So, but I'm good on that. No intake leak. You'll also hear it. You also hear the intake leak. You'll be able to tell. You can go ahead, if you suspect you have an intake leak, go ahead and run the bike, spray some flammable fluid on the induction module, right where I was talking about those flanges that look like exhaust flanges. You spray some fluid on there, brake clean, carb clean, and you'll notice a change in RPMs. It might stall, intake leak. It fucks with your mixture, so it's important to get that fixed. You know, check. So now we're gonna check like probably the most commonplace on Harley Davidsons that I find leaks is the inner primary. So we're gonna come down in here. So you got your primary, derby cover, outer primary, inner primary. There's a gasket here. There's a gasket here. There's a gasket here. Where your fucking rotor and stator are. But you're gonna come down here, and right here we've got our forward shift arm, and we got our rear shift arm. Where our rear shift arm is, bolts into the transmission. So that's called your shift shaft gear. That shit leaks all the fucking time. There's also a T40 up and to the right of that. That's called your centering screw. That also leaks. So when you're doing your inspection, you want to come down. Yep, right there. All this shit right here, you can tell it's like brown or golden colored. On the camera, it's hard to see, but that's all oil. You're checking your shift shaft and your centering screw. You'll know it when you see it. It looks like the oil I showed you earlier. Pretty much everywhere else, it's like dirty and it looks wet and it's collected dust and dirt from the road. So I have an inner primary leak there. We like to say inner primary leak because to get to the shift shaft and the centering screw, you got to remove the inner primary. There could also be other leak points there. So we'll just categorize that as an inner primary leak. You also want to come up. This is what I do all the time. Check where your drain plugs are. Like mine, I don't really have too much moisture on the primary drain plug. My engine's good. And then my transmission's up top. You'll see seepage and oil like I was showing you before. It all looks the same. You'll see oil there. But so far my drain plugs are good. Now while you're here, you can also get a good view of the inner primary, but not specifically shift shaft and centering screw. It might be that inner primary gasket. So you're going to just take your flashlight, bring a flashlight when you're doing this. When you go to buy a bike, bring a flashlight. It's like a crucial mechanic tool. I take my flashlight, my pocket pry bar, and a pocket knife, pretty much everywhere. So you're going to run down where the belt goes. And like right now, I can see it's a pretty gnarly inner primary leak. And I'm not certain because there's so much built up down here. And we're not going to get that much. Like if it's leaking from the shift shaft, like you're going to know. But that amount of moisture tells me shift shaft. This amount of moisture down here tells me I might also have a gasket issue. Because you can see it, right? Following the belt, right down here. I don't know if you can get it, but there's just fucking oil all up under this shit. And get your hands dirty. You're going to be buying a bike, get your hands dirty. You got to feel shit. If that is happening, you got oil leaks. All right. that covers leaks pretty much. Primary is the most common place that I see leaks, so you're definitely going to want to check inner primary. Plus, if you buy a bike and then you go to the shop and you want to get that fucking leak fixed, that's like a 4+ hour. That's a 4-hour job, I'm pretty sure. If you're doing a belt, that's add 6 because you got to take the swing arm off most of the time. So you're going to check belt tension. You can look up the spec. Fucking A, I think my belt's loose. If I had the lights on, you'd be able to tell I got no fucking rear turn signals because my wires are all fucked up under here. They're all like, here it is. Yeah. So I need to fix that. Yeah.
Very helpful.
And guess whose dumbass took his front turn signals off? Yeah, that was me. So I got issues back there I'm going to fix. We know I need a battery. So you make sure it starts, make sure it runs, look for those leaks, check the maintenance things, you know, your fluid. You can even, if you really want to be bougie with it, people probably not let you do this because if you're opening master cylinders and you're not fucking done it before, you're going to get .4 everywhere, be a bitch, and you probably ruin his paint. So don't do it. But if you're at home and you want to do it on your bike, you can get a $25 .4 tester or .5 tester and just dip it in there. And if you dip those 2 prongs all the way down, it's going to tell you it's bad every time. You need to dip those prongs like a quarter to halfway into the fluid. If you dip it all the way down, it grounds out. So when you're using those, I can get fucking, I was a newbie. I get fucking bad brake fluid all the time when it's not bad. I got people coming up and be like, okay, I tested this, dog. What are you doing? So it wasn't just me either. We had another new guy did the same thing. So fun to learn. But that's basically it. You can check critical fasteners. You can, I got one of these covers on it. I actually hate at work, but I don't know the dude before me put it on there. But you remove this. It's usually some tiny ass metric bullshit. You pull that off. You got your axle nut. Check your axle nut. You don't have to do this. I mean, that's not as crucial. Check your rear brake pads. I'm good here. You can see it way easier. Boom. We should do an example on the rear. I'll grab that shit again just to show you because it's hard to see on the front. But this is what you do. I eyeball it. I say it looks like a 3. I come up here. If it fits in there and it got maroon, that's 3+. Your pads are good.
It makes so much more sense.
Yeah, sorry about that. Front's hard to see. I should have known. Rear. But so you check that. You'll also check your rear brake disc. Mine's a little bit grooved. So if you put new pads on a bagged disc, you're going to fuck your pads. So just change your disc and your pads if your rotor's bad. Yeah, but anything tightening, you probably always want to check your fucking riser bolts. Those shit come loose all the goddamn time.
What are those?
When we did my bar installation, we did riser bolts. They're right here. You might have to move the headlight down, but you got to get in there. I'm pretty sure it's like 3/4, same as your suspension bolts. But you could tell also that it's fucking loose if you go ahead and push on it. Like mine does not move. It moves the front of the bike, but it does not go, up and down. If you have too much play in there, like if you're buying a bike, if you just buy a bike, just tighten them up anyway. Hit it with a torque wrench, 45+ foot-pounds, 45 to like 50. They're pretty strong bolts. But that's basically it. You want to check your exhaust too. Oh, I'll tell you a fucking story. You want to check your exhaust. We have an exhaust stud here, and you got nuts on it. And it has a flange, and then it has a ring that holds that on there, and then it's got there's a gasket in there. I had a bike that came in. It was a used bike, and was missing a nut on that. So what happened was the flange wasn't tight. The fucking engine shakes like a motherfucker. The exhaust gets hot, moves around. The flange didn't keep the rear head pipe in the port. Fucking, so that shit was moving around. When I took the exhaust off, the actual port on the head there was like pitted out because the fucking thing had been shaking around, and the head pipe where it fits into that port was pitted. And so then you have a sealing problem. You might get an exhaust leak because if they don't mate up well, then you're going to have an issue there, and you don't want the exhaust leak because then if you can't put another gasket in there and seal that exhaust leak, you got to replace the head and the fucking head pipe. And if you got a 2-into-1 like this, you're looking at a new exhaust and a new head. So check your fucking exhaust stud nuts, please. And then that brings me to the last thing that I almost forgot about: clutch cable leak. Easy. This is about the easiest way to show you what an oil leak looks like, or seep, or whatever.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's just covered in it. It's covered in it. And you'll see them so bad. That's not that bad. There's an O-ring in there. So it could be the cable. I might replace the cable, but it could just be the O-ring. I've seen them so bad, you'll get oil all the way up front in here, and you'll be like, where's it coming from? Did he do an oil change and it just didn't clean it off from the filter or whatever, which is a possibility. People that do their own work, you know, they don't spray the shit down. It looks like, you know, oil's just under there until they fucking change it again and somebody sprays it or whatever. So if you're seeing it up front, you might think oil filter, but also check your clutch cable, because I've seen that shit run all the way down and just, you know, right under the cam chest and just tear shit up under there. Not tear shit up, but just oil everywhere. And so that's one of your places you want to check. It's not like crucial, like it's gonna fuck your shit up, but you don't want leaks anyway, because leaks you get all this fucking oil that's on the chrome. The reason I haven't ridden it is because I wanted to do this video. And I need to clean that oil up, because if you burn oil on chrome, you're fucking your chrome up. So I guess that was it. I mean, check your oil levels. I mean, go ahead and get that dipstick up there. If you test ride it, take a towel with you, take your flashlight, test ride it if they let you. Pull the oil stick, wipe it off, put it back in, do a hot oil check. So, I mean, that basically covers it. If you're going to buy a bike and you're like, hey, that price looks almost right, but maybe a little too good to be true or something, expect that you might need to do some work on it. Go ahead and do an inspection properly, and then write all this shit down. And you're coming with front, rear tire, $500. My battery, $100. Clutch cable and the time's probably like 2 hours plus the part. So you're looking at 2 hours labor plus like maybe $60, depending on if you get a stock cable or a new one, like a braided one or whatever. So that's clutch cable leak. Rocker boxes, like you'd have to pull the tank, do front and rear rocker boxes. That's a few hours of labor time. If we were counting my steering issue, that would be a DNA. So they book you like an hour or whatever, and then if they don't figure it, then that's just to figure it out. Then after they figure it out, they'll recommend a fix. Then you book the fix. So there's that. Yeah, so it's looking like a lot of time right now. And then we had the inner primary leak. I already damn told you that's 4 hours. So, you know, if it's bad, you know, it's some of these things you're like, you know, inner primary, whatever. But you're going to want to, you don't let it sit for too long. I got belt tension I got to check. What the fuck else? Oh, my electrical issue. That's probably pretty quick. You could do that at home. Did I miss anything? Fuck, I don't know. So you add that up, you're looking at over $1,000 of shop time easily. So then you write all that shit down and be like, okay, you know, you go to your car after the test ride, write all that shit down, you come back to them, you be like, I found this, and this. Like, let me knock that price down like $1,500 and it's a deal. Boom. Then you take it back to your place, you watch a few more of my videos, you do the work for free, and then you got yourself a cheap fucking bike. That's the fucking shit right there. I got nothing else for you. I think that was it. That's a quick, down and dirty inspection on a motorcycle. Used bikes, you know, if you're going to go buy a used bike, take a look at it. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm back with more. We're going to be doing work to it. I got to replace a lot of things, as you've just seen. So all those videos will be coming soon. I'm going to replace my front tire, fix my steering head issue, and then I'm going to smoke that fucking rear tire because I can't let that opportunity go to waste. So we're going to figure out how to do that. It's going to be fun. I got to go places. We'll see you next time.